Hey everyone, Professor Dom Celentano. This is Crowdfunding 101. This is a high-level view of crowdfunding. Check the PowerPoint on the class website for the details. But let's talk a little bit about this exciting new way to fund startup ventures. So you might want to know first, who is the crowd? And the crowd really is anybody who has a connection to the internet. More specifically, it's people who frequent social media. And crowdfunding is part of the whole crowdsourcing movement, essentially going to the crowd for what you need, and it's driven by word of mouth. What makes crowdfunding different? Well, unlike when you're pitching to angel investors or VCs, this is not a financial play. We're not pitching for the business as a great return on investment. What we're really pitching is a emotional cause connection, a great story. You're really pitching to your potential customers. So therefore, you are branding and funding at the same time. Crowdfunding platforms have just ballooned. These are just a few examples of the platforms that are out there, and they're platforms that are very narrow in focus. So why is crowdfunding great for entrepreneurs? Because businesses that are from the pre-revenue 0 up to about $1 million in revenue have a difficult time raising capital. They have primarily focused on trying to raise seed capital, going to angel investors. It's very difficult. There's different types of crowdfunding. There is lending, microloan crowdfunding, there's equity-based crowdfunding, there's reward-based crowdfunding. I should point out that crowdfunding has come from the Jobs Act, which really makes it easier for entities to raise capital. This is a good breakout of why crowdfunding works. The incentives for those who are going to loan or donate money for rewards is they want to be identified somehow with the cause and emotional connection, and of course the rewards. So an example would be, let's say, a food business that's starting up. One of the rewards might be when the product is launched, donors would get a free amount of the product. People also like to be identified with something successful, so therefore crowdfunding sort of plays on that, allows people to say, look, I helped this company get started. It also works very well for a targeted community. So for example, if you were starting a business that was developing a line of gluten-free products, people who have celiac disease, people who have gluten intolerance would be very much attracted to helping fund a business like this because it will improve their lifestyle by giving them more. On the crowd side, the attention, the word of mouth, the influencers, those are the people that help drive others to your crowdfunding platform to review your project. A rewards-based program does a lot of things for startups. One is that you don't have to sacrifice any ownership, and a lot of entrepreneurs just don't want to give up ownership early, and when you do give up ownership early, you are giving up a sizable amount of the business because there's very little value within the company. So rewards-based allows you to fund the business, get it to proof of concept where there is value, and then you can proceed to move on to equity or potentially debt. Here is an example of a rewards-based platform called ProHatch. I picked this project as an example to show you sort of how a rewards-based program is created, and as you can see here on the right hand side, the rewards are really the incentives, and this particular company started off with $1 all the way up to $250 and more. Clearly the larger donations get less play. Microloan crowdfunding is another type. Obviously you're borrowing money to repay it, and similar to a conventional loan, there are documents and codicils that require you to pay back at a certain rate over a certain period of time. This is an example of a microloan based platform, and this is a food company. And Again, you're appealing about the personal story. The business description is not as detailed, nor is it as professional as one might do in a business plan. But you do need to say what the purpose of the loan is. And this here is a little bit different from donation-based crowdfunding. And as you can see, they raised $5,000. So there are clearly people in the crowd who are interested in loaning a small business money. The personal story here, and you can look at this in more detail on the slide deck, is an entrepreneur who has gone through a lot of adversity and is looking to establish their business at the next level. And I think a lot of people can relate to going through adversity and having people help them get through it. An interesting part of this platform are endorsements, which is kind of a strong point because we all look for others' opinion of something. And when it comes to a financial transaction, endorsements or recommendations are highly valuable. Equity crowdfunding is probably the newest of all of the platforms, and as of the date of this recording, it's still subject to SEC regulations. However, companies who do equity crowdfunding have a workaround for that. Equity crowdfunding has some additional requirements, and for example, Circle Up says you have to have a minimum of $1 million in revenue, and you've got to have product in distribution. So they're really not looking to fund concepts, they're really looking to fund people that are beyond proof of concept. And as you can see here, there is great interest in the crowd in funding businesses that have revenue. All of these businesses have raised $500,000 or more in equity funding. And Melt Organics, for example, is achieving national distribution with the money that they raised. So crowdfunding campaigns rely on social broadcasting, the word of mouth that social media has. Having a great story is critical because you're appealing to the emotions and the community connection that your business has. Crowdfunding allows you to, as this company Proj calls it, phase to raise. Rather than raising all of your capital at once, you break it up into stages. So this is the typical stage gate model of product development and product launch. And each stage has capital requirements. So raising capital in phases allows you to chunk up your capital requirements and make it easy for the crowd to understand what you're looking for. So in this particular slide, we're saying that at early stage of our product development, we want to raise money for some product market fit, and you have to come up with associated rewards. And the interesting thing here is that you have a window to raise money. It is not something that goes on forever. In this case, it's 30 days, and you have to give the crowd milestones. In other words, this gives people faith that you know what you're talking about and that they're going to be able to get feedback from you as to what you're doing with their money. And as you can see, you could just move your phases along based on the needs of the startup. So that's a brief overview of Crowdfunding 101.